just realised I'm wearing quite an apt t-shirt for tonight. Right, we're a few weeks on now. We've been on holiday, got back, and it's time to really push on with this part of the garage conversion. This is the shower room, bathroom, for those of you who haven't been following the series so far. What I've got here, which I think should be in the previous video, is the lightweight tile backer board. And all the joins last night I just went over with some scrim and a waterproof tile adhesive just to kind of strengthen and seal all those joins. When we put the boards up, we also put a sealant between them as well for belts and braces. So they're all ready to go. Great product, much easier than mess around with hardy backer like we did on the other bathroom. So tonight we're going to have a go at tiling this. Hopefully we've got everything we need. We're going just with normal metro tile like we did. Basically it's just a mini-me of the bathroom upstairs. The tiling is going to go all the way behind where this toilet is sat, so I'm going to clear everything out of here. And one of the most important things with tiling is to work out exactly where your tiles are going to stop and end. And that's one thing I learnt upstairs, is kind of you almost need to think about tiling when you're putting studs in almost, just so you know exactly where things are going. So 9 tiles gives us 90, 9 spaces, 10 spaces. Our centre point here is 110, but I like to finish at the bottom with just less than a full tile, and then you can either scribe, and they should be completely flat, this tray, but it means you can get a really good fit to the bottom. So rather than starting on the tray, we'll start a little way up and we'll put a batten on the wall first. What I'm going to do, I want those pipes to end up in the centre, so I'm going to bring the tiles down, and then where it comes onto the shower tray I'm going to have just under a half tile, which is fine, and that will all be siliconed in, which will leave almost a full tile when it drops down over this curb along the floor. Now the next bit of thinking is where we start. Do we start with a full tile or do we start with a half tile at the bottom? And again, that means working out all the way up from here to where our fittings come through the wall. You wait, I've got a sneaky feeling I'm going to do all this prep work, and then Mrs. Restoration Couple is going to saunter in 5 minutes time. She likes tiling, she hates prep, and I've got a sneaky feeling she's going to come in once the kids are all gone to sleep and jump on the tools. So I've got 10 tiles to there, plus 10 spaces. Full, half, full, half full, half full, half. And the next one up starts from there, and it'll be a full, then a full. So we start on a full. Now when we did the first bathroom a few years back, I mixed up my own adhesive. That's fine. If you could do it in one hit, it's more cost effective and it's probably a better way to go. Because we just sneak an hour here and there whilst the kids are asleep, I've gone for a ready mixed adhesive. Ah, bonjour. Just started off here. Now you're in, aren't you?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
With popcorn.
I'm on cutting duty over here. And you've got the fun job. How does it feel to be back on the tiles?
Woohoo!
Night on the tiles?
More tiles, please, Sue. Come on, dog's body. Wow.
I just realised I'm wearing quite an apt t-shirt for tonight. Right, what do you need? More of those smallies?
Yeah, I'm going to need you to do some more of the plastering stuff if you don't like me doing it.
don't mind you doing it, it's just control freak.
Yeah, we know that. I feel like you could have done better. Look at this patch here.
Yeah, well, that's probably good distraction.
There you go, try again.
Don't try again, me.
Now do be a dull and pass me some tiles.
Look, they're not a million miles away.
Oh, I know.
There you go, got your own box there. Joe's returned to baby duty and left me to finish off this section. We'll then return to this one tomorrow. I'm not going to cut the water off at the moment and drill those holes because it's 10, 11 o'clock at night and I can't be bothered, but also because it's just a hassle. Now when I did this and the last one, I managed to work around it and just leave 2 to slot in afterwards, and that's what I'm aiming for here. So hopefully, I'll measure it all up just in case in a minute, but hopefully that's fine. And you almost kind of build an archway above it and it self-supports. Another thing is every few courses it's worth just kind of getting up above them all and just looking down to make sure none of them are kicked out, because being that they're small tiles, it's quite easy for an edge to show. Pointers which I'm kind of slowly remembering. When you get to the end, because if basically we've got 4 full tiles, then we've got 3 and 2 halves, but they don't equal each other. They would if you laid them out, but because you have spaces, you've got an additional spacer on the rows where you've got the halves, i.e. you've got 4 spaces, so that's 2 mil difference. So when you come to the end piece where you want an even gap between your trim and your tile, you're actually 2 mil different, which is a pain when you come to cut them because you can't just simply cut them in half. So one way to do that, because this wall we're going to be butting into, you could start off with a spacer on your full tile course, and then where you come into this trim, because it's much harder to get an even trowel, and just putting a little bit on the back. You can't, big tiling jobs, they do this on every tile, and because all of these bevel into the trim, we need to make sure that this is basically wider than our other courses, so we want to make sure it's pushed right back, otherwise you can see the inside of the tile when you look at it, if that makes sense. So we just need to make sure it's all the way home, so that when we grout it up, we'll have an even grout line all the way down, but we'll also make sure that our tile is set back from the trim just slightly. This is the trouble when you do a job like this, when you're tiling maybe once every year or so, you forget everything you learnt on the first job, and then you have to kind of teach yourself again. But hey, that's the beauty of DIY. If you're doing it day in, day out, you'd be flying through this. This would just be, you'd have it done before breakfast, but we're getting there. It's not taking too long, and it's fairly methodical. You get into a bit of a rhythm. I'd say we've done alright there. And the kids stay asleep. So the last thing to do is just to pick over anywhere where the adhesive is coming further than the glaze of the ceramic is going to be an issue when we come to grout. So you want to make sure that it's all the way back. So the easiest thing to do is just get a spacer and scrape it out that way. With these Metro tiles, I'm just cutting them in half rather than measuring out. You can see that the centre point is actually in this moulding on the back. You can tell exactly where it is, so I just mark it on there and then we can line that up with our centre point on the cutter. Cheap and cheerful tile cutter, but basically you can see our pencil line there. This is the cut and the break point on that centre point. Yes, you can use the scales, yes you can try and use this flimsy thing, but really, once you've marked your tile, you can just stick it on there and happy days. Okay, arms are getting a little bit achy, up that high. We are on the last course now, because we've got that pitched ceiling, or pitched roof, but the sloping ceiling. We need to scribe these ones in, so it'll be a piece by piece. Another little pointer is if you're doing any cuts down the full length of each tile, whether that's directly in half or an angled piece like this, when you cut it on here, you do your score as normal along the whole length of the tile, but when you come to break it, rather than positioning the breaker in the middle, you kind of want it to be positioned nearer to one end, and hopefully it'll cut nice and neatly all the way along the length. Don't ask me how I came to that conclusion. The last little bit now on the tiles is to put our section in down the bottom. Now I've removed those battens, that's left us with our half tile, or just under half a tile to go round, and we want that to be completely even all the way round onto the shower tray. We'll leave a little gap underneath so we can pack it full of really nice quality silicone in there. I've also put silicone down the back of the tray, flush up to the top of that, so we should all be nice and watertight down there. and when we get to the edge of the tray it steps down, and we've got about 3/4 of a tile to bring across here. Right, last night I got the few little bits in down the bottom where it meets the shower tray, and the final job is going to be to stick those 2 tiles in around our pipes. Right, if you put the right amount of adhesive on, you want to be able to see just the combed adhesive through the back there from the notch trowel, and it hasn't squeezed all the way back through and clogged up our grout gaps, and also that, you know, there's not enough there. So that's the ideal. Where you've got too much and it has squeezed out a bit, you need to go in there and scrape it out, and that's what I've done there, but we'll clean it all up in the next stage when we come to grout. Okay, we're almost there. This is the very last part of this stage of the tiling. I'm going to get our last 2 tiles in here. We need to drill those for our pipes to come through. First up, I need to turn the water off. Then we can pop the end caps off and get these drilled, and I'll show you how I do that. Alright, hopefully that's the water off as planned. When it comes to drilling the actual tile itself, I've got to drill 2 holes in 2 different tiles. I've got this diamond tipped tile bit, which is what I used last time, slightly oversized so I can seal around the pipes when we're all done and fitting the shower. Then I've just gone ahead with a scrap bit of wood and a bit and just done a really square cut on that. Now the benefit of that is that I can hold it steady or even clamp it over the tile, and it can act as a guide to hold this square and steady, and we're not going to be wandering all over the tile. I've worked out where I need my pipe to come through. And I'm just making a little crosshair here. Right, got a little scrap here. Let's just practice our theory. We'll take it a bit more slow and steady on the real one, but that's fine. No wandering, and it's all where we wanted it. And that's it. Both tiles done. It's probably not the professional way to do it, and I'm sure there are jigs and gadgets for all sorts of that, doing those holes, but they're exactly what we need. And really, that bit I have got for drilling them is a little bit oversized. You want to be a little bit big, but that's probably 2 or 3 mil bigger than it needs to be. So we'll go in there with the silicone and make sure it's all sealed up anyway. And then remember, our actual mixer will seal onto the wall as well, so it'll be kind of doubled up with the sealant. Lovely jubbly, tiling done. Next job is going to be moving on to grouting, sealing and getting ready for the shower install. Now I'm going to be doing that in the next video, but if you enjoyed this one, and especially if you want to see more of Jo getting stuck in like she should be, then give us a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for all the updates. But that's it, thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time. Probably a good time to stick the stops back on before I turn the water on. That would be a mess.